Yo, howdy everybody. You should be able to hear me okay. If the mic is quiet, let me know. This is a new mic. I'm just figuring it out. I'm actually going to turn it up a little bit out of paranoia. And I hope you're all having a good evening. Thank you for stopping by. How we doing, chat? I see, who do I see? Mr. Cookies, hello. Howdy Cody. Hello Kill Count, Phoenix. Hey Kool-Aid, Eustace the Monk, Tidius, and Mac Lee with the emojis. Alright, cool. We don't have a repeat of the last stream where I couldn't get the audio to work for like fucking 10 minutes or some shit. So yeah, I figure what we'll do today, I've got a little, you see my little random.exe screen set up in the bottom here. I thought we might just talk about stuff that's been like revealed at Adepticon. But the timing of the Trench Crusade thing that Tomas is doing got all messed up. I thought it would be over by now, but it's not. It's not even going to be starting, I think, for another like hour and a bit or some shit. So that's Adepticon fucking us, of course. Hello Mitchell, how are you? Hi Robin, what's up? Stephen Bean, no relation to Sean Bean, and David Chesko, howdy doody. Yeah, so I figure what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about... I've got some info on the Great Hunger that I thought people might be interested in. Not like kind of any additional lore or anything like that. That was literally all covered in the video that I did. And that was... what you call it? What up, Crispy? How are you, bro? Hello, Ferrum. Hello Fungal, hello Dan. That was all canon lore in the Great Hunger video, because I know people don't always like it when I put in my own shit, and I get it. I especially get it if you're trying to maintain some kind of community resource and I keep fucking your life up by you not knowing what's true and what isn't. Howdy ladda. So yeah, that one was just all straight lore. So let me try and find my Grigori Gula. There it is. Alrighty, so I think most people will have seen that. That's like a prototype, I believe, that the Creature Caster folks have put out there. My understanding of this guy is that the pose will be changing, but that's basically like, you know, the finished model right there. So that's the Grigori Gula. He's the guy who like flies around and spreads decay all everywhere, and he's got little grabbers in his belly that pull people in and stuff. So I'm gonna find my message from Taylor from Creature Caster, and I'll just go through it real quick. It's not amazing stuff, like, it's just things you might be interested in knowing. And alrighty, so the crowdfunding will be taking place on My Mini Factory as a Frontier crowdfunding campaign, which is basically like just their version of actual standard Kickstarter, essentially. But I'm assuming there's a reason as to why they want to go with My Mini Factory. I'm assuming My Mini Factory are performing well. Are we getting new models? Yes, the entire Great Hunger range will have new sculpts. And I've seen, like, not seen, but like I've witnessed some of the conversations around the sculpts, as in like some of the art design and the prototyping, and I think they're a really interesting alternative to what exists right now. So you might have some kind of design issues with the sculpts that exist for the Black Grail right now. This might solve those. Personally, I like the Black Grail sculpts, but I also really like these. So there's going to be 23 total new models in the full all-in. Oh no, I ain't got shit to show today. I don't know if Creature Casters released anything out from Adepticon or anything like that. I'm trying not to bother everyone whilst they're at Adepticon. I had to send them like one message today, and I felt terrible about it, but it was a important message. So hello, Bacon Slater, how are you? How's the bacon? Andrew, how you doing? Prodigal Son, I am but a mere trench wizard chased out of the trenches by zealous trench pilgrims. They never understand. They always think everything magical is evil. Alrighty, so there's going to be two tiers. Basically, there's going to be the all-in tier, and then there's going to be a warband tier. My understanding of things is the all-in tier will be about $120. That's the information that I've got. So I don't know what the smaller warband tier is going to be. There will be a physical tier that will be produced in the new resin that Creature Caster have been working with, and that new resin is quite crisp. It doesn't need to be cleaned after the fact and all that kind of stuff. Lada, I was thinking about it. I know that shit, I can never remember his name, his channel, and I feel terrible. I know that somebody's going to be live streaming it, and I don't know, is it rude to watch their stream on this, or should we all just go and watch it over there? You know what I mean? So where else am I? There's two new units, the Madagot Hag, which is like the horrible birthing machine, and the Grigori Gula, who's on screen right now, and that's it. I really don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, so I'm just going to say it. The warband won't have an amalgam. There's not going to be like an amalgam option in the warband, because they don't leave the flesh around long enough for the amalgams to form. They just fucking eat everything. So yeah, no, my understanding is it'll be 120 USD for the 23 STLs. That's all the pricing that I have right now, and some of those models are pretty fucking big. So yeah, that's all the Great Hunger info that I really have right now. All right, Wanderer, bye. So yeah, that's that really. Does anybody have any questions or anything they might want me to get answered? It's a kind of a weird day, frankly, today. I don't know who's really in touch with the broader. Oh, thank you, Bacon Slayer. I really appreciate that. It's been fun and interesting to. Can I trip and accidentally pull up the Great Hunger variant PDF? I think that would be the surest way of never getting any kind of access to any kind of secret again. Would certainly be a good way to do it. Now, I ask as much as I can, and I apply as much pressure as I can to try and get like information out there, but I also kind of give everybody time to be very happy with the work that they're doing before anything that I let me go public with. But I'll have like rules as soon as I can convince people to let rules out about the Great Hunger, you will. I think they're really interesting. I think they're a really fun take on the Black Grail and how the Black Grail can play and should play and would play under certain circumstances. Thank you, Mackley. I really appreciate it. As I said when I interrupted myself talking to Bacon, but it's been like super interesting and fun to just enjoy something and have it kind of resonate with other people. I'm just glad that we're enjoying the hobby as like and Trench Crusade, and I think the game is fun, so I'm glad people are jiving with it. Is this still based from the art of the main man, or is it something completely new? This is something completely new. This is all being done. The art direction and sculpting and everything for the Great Hunger is all coming from the Creature Caster team. And if you check out the Creature Caster website, I think you'll see that they're some of the best in the industry when it comes to doing this kind of thing. Hey, Prodigal Son, you've returned. Thank you for dropping in. Absolutely agree. Remember, it's not heresy to kit bash. Go crazy. Evil Bread. Hello, Evil Bread. How are you? Who did I miss? I don't think I missed anyone. New California. What happened to Old California? I ended up getting sick after watching the Great Hunger video. I'm starting to think it wasn't a coincidence. I think you were infected, and you're probably going to end up eating someone. That is just the way it goes. Yeah. So, what I was gonna say, the lore is incredible. I'm printed out in 4K. I'm happy this came along. Yeah, I think the lore is really fun. I think what I've really enjoyed over the last few weeks, and please let me know if y'all feel the same, is the additional actual world building stuff that's been coming out over the last few weeks, instead of just being like very unit specific things. Like, I really enjoyed learning more about the Synod, and obviously the big Bodie McBoatface that the British, well, I guess the English, not really British, that the English were working on, and the stuff that we learned about the Great Iron Wall. I've really loved all that kind of stuff, and I ended up having a pretty long chat at like 2 a.m. my time a couple of weeks ago with Mike, because I needed to know some stuff for Hand of Faith, and I wanted to hammer it out and get like a good idea as to what we were doing. And I think we came up with some dope shit that's going to be popping up in Hand of Faith over not the next two parts. The next two parts are already like synopsised out, and I know what they're going to be and what has to happen in them. But you know, it will pop up in Hand of Fate, that this kind of world building stuff that myself and Mike kind of ran through the other night. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for you to see it. The spoiler alert for that kind of stuff, I guess, will be the recent shorts. If you pay attention to shorts, stuff can pop up in shorts, basically, that might hint at how Hand of Fate is going to go. So yeah, no, one of the things I just want to talk about real briefly is, I don't know why I feel the need to talk about this, I just kind of do, and I don't really have anywhere else to talk about it, is anybody who's into like the broader hobby space, especially Games Workshop space, especially Old Hammer and around that 90s era, might be aware that unfortunately Paul Sawyer passed away at some point over the last day or two. Unfortunately, he passed away, and he used to be the editor of White Dwarf. He was the editor of White Dwarf when it was really like a big thing in my life. I would get it every month, and people like Tomas were working on it, and Andy Chambers and Gav Thorpe and everybody that you might think of now as being very important aspect of it. And Paul was the editor, and was the editor. What the editor is really responsible for, I don't know how much you know about publishing, but what an editor is really responsible for is tone of a publication. Not just the things that actually go into it, but the tone of a publication, how it kind of carries itself and how it portrays itself. And I strongly feel like that was the strongest era of White Dwarf ever, because I feel like it put the reader first and it put the person who played the game first. And they used to do a huge amount of tutorials on how to make terrain and how to do different things. And it was just a really fun and formative time for me. And I was young, I think I would have been about 16, so that feels young now when I'm 43. But I would, like, this was pre-internet basically, and I used to write letters to Paul, and Paul would reply, and he gave me his office phone number, and I'd ring him, and we'd like talk about my stupid ideas. And he thought that I could be a writer, and I didn't, I think, at the time. And just when the news hit today, it was really interesting how hard it landed with me, I think, is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, no, he was a real interesting cat. I think the hobby owes a tremendous amount to him and to the tone that he set and the way that he approached things. And obviously he left White Dwarf and went off and set up Warlord Games and co-founded that and did more like big stuff. But it was those years that really mattered, I think, to me, and really helped me figure out who I was in the hobby, because I was like kind of in an interesting space when I was younger, because I was into sports and I was into nerd shit, and I was trying to figure out who I was in both those things. And it was definitely his tone. That's why I'm a very chill guy. When everybody's very worried about stuff now, and they're not taking my favorite IP seriously. I'm just from the days when you didn't take that shit too seriously. Like, it didn't, it was fun first. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it here. So I see a lot of people quite sad about Paul passing away, and I think that's a good thing. I think that, sadness is a measure of how impactful somebody was in your life. So it's okay to feel sad about it, basically. So yeah, and now here I am, 20 years down the line, and I'm trying to write stories about a game that somebody's making. What the fuck is life? It's a weird setup. That's all I'm gonna say. Also, gotta say, the Discord you've set up is great. Okay, that's good, because I kind of have had to ignore it. I set it up probably a little quicker than I should. Everybody sharing their stuff and chatting up is in front of itself. That's really good, because I've been nervous about that, because I set it up on a whim. It's your fault, basically, chat, that I set it up. And I was worried that I was ignoring it, because I was wrapping up a ton of work for a client that I was doing some business with, basically, and I felt like I ignored it. So I'm glad it's done really well, and I'll be paying it a lot more attention over the coming weeks, and I'll be trying to be more active in there. But I'm really glad that people are having fun, because it's really more about just like the community rather than me, if that makes sense. I'm not saying it's the only Discord out there by any means, but just somewhere that people are having fun and sharing their work and all the rest of it. That's what I'm really into. And I know that people have posted some of their writing and stuff in there, and I haven't looked at it, and I feel terrible about that, but I was honestly just like so busy. I think I did 9 weeks, 7 days a week of probably 12 to 13-ish hour days, wrapping that project up. And it was definitely worth it, because it buys me a ton of time now over the year to work on the things that I want to work on. But Jesus, I'm so tired now, it's crazy. And that's why the channel was a little quieter than it normally would be. Like, I went 11 days without posting a short, which is cracked for me. I'm normally far more attention hungry than that. So where's Tomas' seminar? Has anyone recorded? I think it's been live streamed. Let me check the channel. Not like my channel, obviously. I think there's a channel that's going to be live streaming it. Also, if anybody's into them. I think it might be Miniature Game Montage who's potentially streaming it. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me. If anyone's into... Oh, no. Sorry, he just posted an hour ago. I don't think anyone would be waiting, but my Trench Crusade live stream from Adepticon had to be cancelled. His wife, unfortunately, has been very ill, and he has to return home. So that's a big shame, man. I hope his wife is okay. So yeah, I guess there won't be a stream now that we can watch from the event. So we're just gonna have to sit here, wait for him to wrap, and figure out kind of what's been going on and what kind of news they have and all the rest of it. And I don't actually have any secrets from this one. So I'm as in the dark as you guys all are. Oh, Ghoul, man, your stuff is dope as fuck, dude. I'm really enjoying your posts in the painting channels. Is the winged unit the largest in the Great Hunger since the amalgam is gone? I think the largest is going to be the... Shit, what are they called? The Great Maws. They're their version of the Lord of Tumors. My understanding is that those guys are fucking chunky. So, we'll wait and see. Greenland Shark. I'm new to Trench Crusade in the past few months. I discovered it. I think we all discovered it in the past few months, brother. That's okay. It's amazing. Love the World War One aesthetic. In my opinion, so much potential. But good God, Beelzebub and his lot are so gross. They are. They're really quite gross. As a 33-year-old dude, 20 years ago feels like yesterday. Yeah, it really does, man. It's like, it kind of fucked me up thinking about how fast it goes. And you kind of want to do, like, I see all these videos. I'm being fed these videos by the algorithm of, like, I'm 43 years old and it took me 10 years to learn this lesson. And I ain't watching it because I don't want to fucking know what existential crisis these people are going through. They can go through it on their own without my help, because I've got an inkling as to what it is, and I don't want to know. Tidiest, the Discord has been going great, definitely awesome. That's dope. Another Discord enjoyer in Eustace. Eva Brett, I still need to join the Discord. I should actually link the Discord. Every time I live stream and link the Discord, it catches quite a few new join ups, and the mods all freak out because they get this message that there's unusual activity. And to be fair to my mods, they're all very wonderful people who really try to care, so it's very fun watching them lose their minds. Wish you could change your YouTube name. I think you can change your YouTube name. I think you can only do it like on very rare occasion though. Pango Pod, just passing by. Thanks for sharing, Lawrence. Such, I love it. Makes the hobby more diverse, accessible, and enjoyable. That's awesome. What I'm trying to do is I'm thinking about the accessibility thing, and I'm trying to be smart and just do like proper subs with the updates or with the uploads in future. But I haven't really had time to dedicate it to it. Robin Mankiller, howdy, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I linked the Discord just there, Mac. I've been writing a short story with every mini I post. Also, don't apologize about that. You gotta do what you gotta do. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let's say our prayers to the wife. Exactly. I hope everything is good there. Yes, Beelzebub cost us, sadly. Alrighty, should I post my minis on the Discord? You should definitely post your minis on the Discord. Evil Bread. 100%. Great Maw versus Sin Eater. Yeah, I think the Great Maw takes it. Just for costing more ducats, I guess. I mean, if the Great Maw is a thingy equivalent, Lord of Tumors equivalent. It's more expensive, right? Unless they changed that and I haven't noticed. Mukbang challenge, yeah, just nasty business. Is the Great Hunger a separate sub-faction from the Black Rail with its own units? Yes, it is. It's obviously part of the Black Rail. It's a strain of the Black Rail, but it's separate in the same way that the Dirge is separate, and has its own rules and its own units and all that kind of stuff. So the Great Hunger will have 2 exclusive units to the Great Hunger list, and the crowdfunding campaign will have all new sculpts for those units. Some of Henrik's work on the Discord is incredible. Yeah, that guy's on another level. He's actually working on something kind of... I don't know if I should say what he's working on. Should I say what he's working on? Yeah, it's not a big secret or anything. But like, I'm going to do a story about that thing that he's sculpting because the thing is fucking sick. So we're doing like a little collab. And basically, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. No, it's not Tomas's wife who's L. It's the YouTuber who was Miniature Game Montage. He was going to live stream. So it's his wife who's L. Don't start putting weird stuff out in the world. Mark me up as anyone who's been seriously enjoying the Discord. Alright, everybody's having fun in the Discord. That's good. Yay! You could change your name, Ghoul. That's awesome. All this talk of the Great Hunger is making me hungry. I literally just ate. I'm already hungry. Just post my minis on the Discord. Let's have a look. Hey, that's some good stuff. There's some proper ghostly ghosts. I'm digging them. Y'all have such good color palettes going. It's one thing I've really noticed is everybody's got great color choices going on. There's real synergies occurring on the eye. Will we have lore for the Holy Roman Empire? I don't know. I hope so. That would be a pretty interesting one for sure. But I don't know if we will have lore for the Holy Roman Empire. I'm just a guy. I don't have all the inside news, unfortunately. Just like, yes, I have a good amount of it, but I haven't heard shit on the Holy Roman Empire, basically, is what I'm saying. Back to live, had to go join the Discord and post my ghosts. The ghosts are good. I enjoyed the ghosts quite considerably. Will we get more lore for the Paladins? Yes, you will definitely get more lore for the Paladins. I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's also a short story that Mike wrote like years ago for the Paladins. It's really interesting. There's a thread here. It's about a year old. And it compiles some of the short stories that Mike did with the art that he was doing many years ago. So here you go. There's some interesting short stories there. There's some Path of the Beast stuff. There's some Paladin stuff. I'm currently writing a short fanfic. It's not about a Paladin, but it's Paladin adjacent. I think you're gonna like it. I'm trying to find interesting ways to come at the world and talk about stuff. I don't know if we'll ever get like playable Paladins or anything, but like I'm constantly on request basically for more information about paladins. So we might get something in the rulebook, because I know that enough people have asked, and I've been asking quite a bit as well. The more people that get into this hobby, the less and less Agrax Earthshade in the world. That's true. If you want an interesting alternative to Agrax Earthshade, there's a painter on YouTube, a guy called Sonic Sledgehammer, whom I love his stuff, and I love his approach to painting. And he has this stuff called Marine Juice, which is like a mixture of other shades. So if you just search Marine Juice Sonic Sledgehammer, you'll get the video, and I think it's I think it's amazing stuff. It's got like a very warm kind of brownish to red tone to it, and it just works with so many colors really well. Whereas like Agrax and Null Oil are really interesting, but they can have like a dampening effect almost on the colors that you're putting on, and this will really like kind of tie stuff together. I really like it. It's the stuff I use all the time, and I think he's a great painter. I love to see the other kingdoms like the Holy Roman Empire, Prussia, or France, their cities and how they live. Yes, I want more world building like that, right? I want to understand how the world functions and the day-to-day of things. Is it worth buying a 3D printer just for Trench Crusade? I would say that will depend entirely on how much Trench Crusade you plan on playing and printing. I will also say, if you buy a 3D printer, it will not be just for Trench Crusade. You'll think it's just for Trench Crusade, and then you'll end up 3D printing every kind of fucking thing. Like, I've got an FDM printer and a resin printer, and I just print every kind of mad shit. Like, I was sitting here one day and I'm like, oh, I really wish I had like a good little container for my active paints that I'm using, and so I printed it. Like, that's 3D printed. You'll end up 3D printing a lot. I have found you'll solve a lot of problems with 3D printing that you weren't quite aware were problems until you had a way to solve them. If you plan on printing, even if it was just Trench Crusade, if you planned on printing every faction, yes, you'd save more with the 3D printer than you would buying every faction, no doubt about it. So there you go. There's your advice. HT, I think it's HT. Just discovered Trench Crusade through Warhammer 40k lore and love the setting. Yes, the setting is very cool, no doubt about it. You rock. Thanks, bro. No, you rock. I feel like a Paladin would be way too powerful to be on the same field as any of our folks. Yeah, well, I don't think we'll ever get a Paladin at this scale, like, you know, this gameplay scale. It's not gonna happen. It would just murk everything. Like, these are things that can go into hell for protracted periods of time. They're not something that anything that can come out of hell can deal with on their own at all. Like, you need hegemon levels of power, right, to do it. I need lore on Lilith. Yeah, because we've had like the brides of Lilith birthing the Praetors, so I want to know more there. Really, Gravelord Grey from Army Painter is great as an oil replacement. Interesting. I must look into that. I've noticed myself drifting hard towards Army Painter the last like year and a half or so of my painting. I really like their stuff now, to the point where it's slowly turning into the only type of paint that I actually use. So if it ever becomes my one and only paint, I'm just going to send them a message and go, fine, you've finally killed every other type of paint for me. Don't fuck this up, because I don't want to spend like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of euro bucks on Army Painter and then have them go to shit. 2 dead and 1 is redacted. 1 is redacted. Basically, 1 is like, what's his name? Judas, essentially. Yeah, he totally didn't turn traitor. He's totally not Judas. With the mention of Hebrew Knights, having a Jewish-inspired faction would be neat. Yes, my understanding is that Tomas is working away on the rules and lore there as we speak. Not like literally as we speak, obviously, but as the world speaks, I guess. I'm kind of lost on what figures are available and where to buy them, or are they just 3D printed? Is there a rulebook to buy? So you don't need to buy a rulebook right now. You can just get, I'm assuming you know you can get the rules for free from trenchcrusade.com. You'll be able to buy a rulebook around June, because they want to deliver the rules to everybody who has backed the rulebook. And if you want this, the STLs right now, you can get them from here, which is the Factory Fortress, My Mini Factory. That will be the files. Like, you'll need a printer, you'll need to print them. If you want to wait, I think pre-orders for physical stuff is coming up for people who are non-backers, or it might even be open yet. So yeah, there you go. That should be all the information that you need. I wonder if it's worth doing a quick explainer video on how to get into Trench Crusade right now. I take a lot of stuff for granted, I think. I assume knowledge on people's part. We know France's city of Avignon is under Black Girl control, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't even know how big France is in this game. Like, I don't know if France is the size of France, or if France lost chunks or gained chunks. Like, you know, there's a bunch of shit that we don't know. I saw a theory a while back that one that turned traitor killed one of the others when they flipped. It would be a dope way to turn traitor, right? It's like the ultimate way to go heal. It's just the old stab in the back. I like the theory that the one who turned quote-unquote traitor didn't actually turn traitor at all, but it's like somewhere deep down in the bowels of hell, and it's up to some fuckery for the good guys, not the bad guys. Any specific model you recommend? Any specific model I recommend for what? Or if it's not me, whoever. The question is, where's the Trader Paladin now? Who fucking knows? They're traitoring. We can only assume. I still think they're up to something cool. Are we seeing more posts in it? Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. All right, we're going to go through people's stuff. Did I go too far north? I did. Oh, Ghoul's posting again. Let's... That's pretty sick. That Praetor is dope, Fungal. I like that sculpt a lot. It's got a real kind of a Nordic vibe to it, which is pretty sick. Is that one of the hands from... That is one of the hands from Elden Ring. I know, because I died to that fucking thing so many times. That's dope, man. That green is great. Oh, we got even more. Really nice use of the Night Haunt stuff. Y'all are talented folks, it tells you. I think I heard that France is smaller than we know it. Like, that would make, I think, a bit of sense that the history of Europe would be a little different. I don't know if the UK were less, well, England, I should keep saying, were less expansionist. I think France would be as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see lots of, like, smaller, you know, there was less, like, consolidation, basically. It's like Prussia is still there, right? would be pretty interesting. So, yeah, I think we might see less consolidation in Europe, and that could be interesting because it would give us more variety, I think, in what we can do ourselves. So, I'd like to see tonight I always fuck up the pronunciation of this. I always want to say hospitalier, but I don't think it is that, because I don't think it's like French, right? Someone who's normally eternally behind the times, follow-ups on how to get the involved after reading ages past are always much appreciated. Yeah, I might do that then. I'm doing a how to play on Tabletop Simulator video because I really think people should. It's a great way to have a community if there's no community near you, and then you can do all the hobby stuff that you want to do. But you can, you can just like play games online through that. There's a Tabletop Simulator community Discord that's really good, and I really like kind of hanging out there. So ancient Celtic stuff be so good. Yes, ancient Celtic stuff is of extreme interest to me, and I'd love to see some pop up in the game, no doubt about it. I've drawn a map and I'm noodling around with an expanded alt history timeline. I'll share it if I can figure it out. If you want to just like shoot me a link to anything, I can post the link. I have no idea how to set it to where you could post a link without letting everybody post a link. And if I let everybody post a link, the stream will just flood with bots suddenly posting links. It's a pain in the buttocks. Alrighty, get out of here, Grigori Gula. That's enough free advertising for fucking Creaturecaster. Nah, that's mean. They're really nice. Little vampires held events in the 1800s. Yes, they did, with stakes. Lots of stakes. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a Celtic-inspired heretic warband. I saw somebody like have a really bad interpretation of Celtic mythology actually during the week. Normally, I'm pretty chill on people working in their mythologies however they want to, but this was like, it was drawing a real awkward connection between old Irish myth and legend, like pre-Christianity stuff, like pre-Brehon stuff even, and this guy was just like, oh, this is like actually about Jesus. And I was like, it's really not. So normally I'm happy to let everybody do their own thing, but I just couldn't do it this time. I had to just try and stop him. So, there's so much stuff I wish I could tell you all. I'm in one of those weird moods. Yeah, exactly. We can't all take a college course through our homebrew. Sometimes we just want to make some shit up and have it be cool and fun and not tremendously deep. Would you be able to create a Trench Crusade program warband that uses guerrilla warfare? Yes. Well, 1914. I mean, all of war is technically advancing much faster than you would think, and skirmish warfare. I don't want to like. This is going to be a very awkward sentence to say. Skirmish warfare, almost by definition, is guerrilla warfare to a degree, right? Don't crucify me on that. I know some of you guys are real fucking history nerds, but like it's right there. It's very adjacent to it tactically, so I would not see a problem. Like, I don't know why anybody would have a major issue with that. Truly, a campaign is guerrilla warfare, right? I see loads of people screw up their Irish lore and their TC stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of it is because like Irish lore doesn't get a huge amount of it doesn't get a huge amount of focus the way that like Egyptian and Norse and Greek and Roman and stuff like that does. It's very forgotten, and that's a shame because it's super interesting. But I've I've acknowledged that that's the way it is, and I'm actually doing something to hopefully help that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this year continues. Basically, hello, kill count. So yeah, I'm gonna try and like put some stuff right. I think on the Celtic side of things, and there's some really fun shit in there basically that I don't think is necessarily kind of anathema to what it is that the devs are trying to do. So we'll see how it goes. The Red Brigade seems to be at least carrying out full-on guerrilla warfare, sneaking behind enemy lines to blow up factories and such. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it's in there. It's par for the course of the universe as far as I'm concerned. And I want to say something stupid, so I'm not going to. I'm actually going to Google it first, before I say anything. So yeah, there we go. I wasn't going to be like completely wrong in what I said, but there appears to be two main tactical or historical hinges for guerrilla warfare. The first one being in the 3rd century BC Roman general Quintus Fabius Maximus Verrucosus. Jesus, they weren't messing in Gladiator about those names. Developed many of the tactics used in guerrilla warfare. And then there's actually an Irish guy called Michael Collins who did a lot of refinement to the concepts of guerrilla warfare back when we were striving for our independence, shall we say, from the British. So yeah, that's definitely something that is interesting. So the timelines would make like complete sense, right? Because that was pre-Easter Rising stuff, so timelines would line up basically. Yeah, they managed to get like a lot of lore stuff out, and I think it's a good thing that they've kind of been trying to, from what I can tell anyway, based off their messages to me, they've been trying to land on like a weekly thing for the community, right? That we'll learn something once a week, be it about a unit or something that was mentioned on the timeline, or you know, some world building and some new art and things like that. So I think what's going to be really interesting is looking back in like 4 or 5 years at 4 or 5 years of development and remembering fondly all the stuff that we almost didn't know. Will be very, very interesting. I just want $30 to read. Is that too much to ask? Yeah, no, definitely not. I think the books can be really interesting. The books can be like excuse me, what am I going to say? The world building through the books can be very much the opposite of how GW ended up having to do it, because Black Library came about quite late into development of many of the worlds that Games Workshop were trying to explore. It was a way to fill in all the stuff that people didn't know. Whereas if they do the books correctly, assuming they're going to do some, like why wouldn't they when they've got like Black Library authors who are eager it seems to write stuff, they can have those develop the world in conjunction with everything else. Like everything can be a bit better planned, timeline wise. So what they need to do is you just need to not explore certain elements of things. If you're going to be writing a book, Evil Bread, you make a very good point. Writing a book for Trench Crusade is hard because the lore keeps updating with cool stuff. But you just ignore it. Like you set your scale and you go with your scale. If that makes sense. So you could have like it's very easy to okay, my idea for a book, how I'd start a book, because obviously I think about it, is I would go from somebody who's like mid-teens to late teens, and my assumption would be I'd get to write more than one book. So I would have the start of their journey, basically the start of their life, their arrival or catalyst for arrival into the armies of New Antioch and their training, and then go from there. And I would develop them as I would develop the world and as the world would develop. So that would be the way I would do it. But obviously they won't be able to do that. They need to do a bunch of one-shot books. But I hope to have somebody doing just a central series of books. Would be pretty dope. So when the galaxies all go dark and there's nothing left, not even black holes, and trench coat souls will just be out there and avoid screaming. Yeah, they're going to be proper fucked. There's nought that they can do about it. So, not much to be done. For Irish myth, how about Nawada Silverarm is actually a saint of Ireland who fought off the beast cult raids, and his silver arm is actually a silver sword prosthetic. See, that's, I don't mean to be harsh, but that's actually what I don't like. I would have, like, you don't need to take the thing and like kind of squish it into somehow being Christianity. It can just like be what it is. Like, I really like the idea that where they're kind of hinting that Ireland does have mildly paganistic practices. So maybe they've got like a split fate thing where, yeah, you know, they're all about their saint and they're all about Jesus and God and whatever, but you know, they keep an eye on the old gods too. Would be pretty interesting. I don't think you'd necessarily need to turn around and go, oh, this guy was actually like a saint all along or whatever. He can just be an old thing that people believed in. And they can still have kind of a degree of old faith in old things. I think is interesting and fun. Would the church like it? No, but we already know the church doesn't like a bunch of shit that they put up with because they need people to fight. So they're not going to turn around to Air Rangers and go, you guys are kind of pagan-y, eat shit, you're not in our army. They're just going to go, look, heretics over there, go kill them. And if the heretics and the pagans sort each other out, then so be it. Would you like recurring characters? Do you think it's better for each one to stay in their own standalone books? I would love recurring characters. That's what I would really like. You want both, but like, I'm a recurring characters guy. I want to see somebody develop and change and like with Hand of Faith, I'm essentially doing a book in a short story. Like, I'm covering enough. Like, the lead-in should be so much longer, and finding out all the information should take so much longer, and the fights should be so much longer, and everything should be so much longer. It's basically books in a short story. So I would love to see recurring characters appear in the world, and then we get like rules for them and scopes for them and shit like that. Would be dope as fuck. That would really be fun. St. Patrick's in there as a patron. He can be a patron of the Air Rangers. So, audio in left ear only. Oh, it might be picking it up. Hang on. It might be doing weird things. Oh, I'm not going to be able to fix it now because I have to restart the shit. Yeah, I forgot to change it to mono because I'm stupid like that. So that's my bad. You're just going to have to deal with that one for the rest of the stream because I don't want to have to restart. Oopsies. I'll fix it for next time though. There's always an audio thing on this stream. It's actually my trademark. I feel. I would love a book through the point of view of a wretched that managed to escape through the law of hell. Yeah, that's something that I would love to explore as well. Like, what are the circumstances by which a wretched... I want a wretched who does it and stays. Like, you know, he essentially wins his freedom and then goes, nah, I'm with you guys. I think that would be sick. That'd be pretty baller. It'd be pretty dope. Where do you find the lore? I want to read the lore of Trench Crusade. Just join the Discord. It all gets posted in the Discord. Keep an eye on the Facebook is another way to do it. If you want to join the Discord, just go to trenchcrusade.com. They have a perma invite on the page there. So, serious question, when are we getting a new Antioch City map? I would love to do a siege game against the city, or just have for general lore information. I want it to print it out real big and put it on my fucking wall. It'd be dope. But I've no idea when we're going to get that kind of stuff. I don't know if they have that time for that level of nuance going into the world building. Hopefully they do now, as they keep bringing in extra people, right? They got Andy in to help, Andy Chambers in to help work on some of the rules, and Rick Priestley, which is pretty kind of crazy. So hopefully that frees up time for Tomas to do less rules, more lore, more world building, more. Would be kind of fun. The PlayStation 3 Castlevania Lords of Shadows amalgamated the elements with Christianity. Could lift the inspiration from that. That's actually a pretty good rip, to be honest. Dope game. So definitely not a bad idea. I nearly choked myself by coughing. I have a question I was hoping you can answer for me. Why would you ever sacrifice your Yoke Fiend with the Slave Master spell? Alright, you're going to have to let me read up on some stuff. Do. It's been a minute since I've thought about Trench Crusade as a game I play rather than a thing that exists whilst I work. So as a Goetic spell, this model will command any friendly Yoke Fiend to do one of the following: move, ranged attack, melee, sacrifice. The Yoke Fiend kills itself. It is removed from the board immediately as a casualty. Interesting. One of the reasons I would think I would want to do that is if the Yoke Fiend's in a position to be pushed or told what to do by anybody on the other team. Anyone who can like take over their mind or anything at all like that would be interesting. I'm also going to assume that if I do that to it, it's not going to count against. Oh, it's moved immediately as a casualty, so it is going to. That's a good question. Let me think about it, because I can't see a good reason, if I'm honest with you. I'm assuming there is one. This is the kind of thing where I turn around to Tomas and I go, there's no good reason for this. And then he goes, actually, if you think about it in this extremely specific circumstance, which I thought about it in, and now you feel bad because you didn't, there's an exact reason to do it. The Christians who wrote Irish folklore did enough Christ washing already. We don't need that in this. To a degree, yes. That is like the blunt way of what I've been kind of hinting at is, and obviously I feel this more. This is one of the things we're just going to have to get used to as a game, I think. When it comes to the Christianity and the Celtic stuff, I feel that more because I'm Irish, right? So people turn around and go, oh, what if you did this with Irish mythology? It would be so cool. And a part of me bristles and goes, that wouldn't be so cool. I need to keep that in mind when I think I've got a good fucking idea as to what to do with like Norse mythology in Trench Crusade. So it's just, it's something to be aware of, I think, for all of us. Thaddeus, it might be interesting if the church keeps insisting on calling area heroes saints for propaganda reasons, while the Rangers themselves don't much care for the practice. Yeah, I don't think the Rangers mind saints being saints. I think St. Patrick is St. Patrick. I don't think they have a problem with that. There's plenty of Irish saints since Christianity. Like you don't need to go into the Tuatha or the Seed or anything like that to get them. So I think about it a lot, and I don't want to talk about it too much because it shouldn't come as a huge surprise that I have an idea and a plan that I want to execute on there, specifically around Irishness in Trench Crusade. So, love the old Windows team, by the way. Thank you. I just feel old a lot, and this makes me feel older. I don't know why I keep doing it to myself. I'd like to see more on Witchburner Nero books. Yeah, that's what Feel No Pain is working on. So that's on him. He's gotta provide you with the Witchburner Nero. Kind of in the universe example of what we were just talking about. Yes, I'm interested to see how the Slavic mythology would fit into Trench Crusade. I love some Hussars and Cossacks charging Hell's lines. Who fucking wouldn't? Let's be fair. Sin of Pride and Lucifer himself. Yeah, no, nothing doing. If you think about it, that's like the hardest one to write. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Yeah, we're not going to get Lucifer in the game. Lucifer seems too powerful for sure, but we might find out what Lucifer is doing. But if you take Lucifer and God as being like opposite ends of the morality scale, but similar ends on a power scale, at least within the Trench Crusade universe, it seems very unlikely that Lucifer ever shows up to any degree in much of the lore, because there's no reason for him not to just super OP anyone who's disagreeing with him. But I want a painting of a random street in New Antioch. See all the people. Okay, I'm actually going to say that to the devs. That's really interesting. So I'm going to pass that one on, because they have people working on all kinds of stuff, and see if we can get something rolling. But that's really interesting, yeah. Is there any information about where the lore will advance over time? Or are we going to stay in 1914 for quite some time? I would assume, at least whilst developing the entire world, we're probably going to be staying in 1914, because there's so much to do. Like, they're not even out of a tiny bit of Europe and the Levant and a little bit of Northern Africa yet. And they have an entire world to get through. So I would say we're going to be stuck in time, at least at this level, at this skirmish level. I want to say some stuff that this is just speculation. I know nothing, right? This is simple speculation. But they've got people like Andy Chambers and they got people like Rick Priestley, and those are people who have a lot of experience making games that operate larger, right? Specifically around Warhammer and things like that. And if you look at a game like, I think the logical progression for a skirmish game akin to Trench Crusade would be to a second edition-ish Warhammer 40k system. Something along those lines. And you've got people there now who can do that kind of stuff. So, right? Doesn't that kind of make sense that you then see a little bit of an advancement in time, that you'd move forward from this like skirmishing in the no man's land stuff to the next great incursion, maybe like 10 years or 20 years down the way? I don't know. Like, that's just me talking out of my ass. I want to see a Heretic Tavern. I do not want to see a Heretic Tavern. I don't even want to imagine the kind of shit that goes on in there. So yeah, human blood, it seems to be a big thing for the heretics, because they always, like, I imagine if you're a heretic, you're kind of try-harding a lot. You're like trying to outdo each other on the gross scale of like, oh, look how evil I am. And then I imagine there's lots of people who are just vaguely embarrassed of you and your family because they're not all in on heretics the same way you are. Demon prehistoric animals, particularly dinosaurs or other archosaurs, brought back to life to unwillingly serve hell as war beasts, a variety of uses. That's cool, but I don't know if that's Trench Crusade. If that makes sense. I don't know if Trench Crusade have any reason to bring back dinosaurs, or hell in Trench Crusade has any reason to bring back dinosaurs, when they can just have a bunch of fucked up shit of their own. If that makes sense. Yeah, motherhood can certainly be metal. Do you think the first named characters are going to be faithful or heretical? Well, we technically have our first named character, right? It's who would you call it? Fuck, man, why can't I remember anything today? I'm so tired. Sister Immaculata is our first named character, and yeah, Our Lady Immaculata Penitence. And people can't decide if she's heretic or not. They don't know. They don't know if she's good, if she's Black Grail, or what she is. So they're doing a fun job of giving us things that lead to even more speculation. So I nearly said speculum, which is a very different thing. So yeah, unfortunately my audio is only in your left ear. That's not just a you problem, I fear. I forgot to switch. The mic is set to mono. The audio device is set to mono. Everything is set to mono because obviously I record in mono, and I forgot to set Streamlabs to mono, and I would have to restart it now to change it. So my bad. It's just, you know, the running joke. There's always an audio problem. Lucifer's Mini, no, but I wouldn't mind a story featuring our faction sub-faction and specifically work for. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I want to see Lucifer done in an interesting way, like beyond kind of. Every time I think about how I want like major baddies to be done, it's beyond understanding. So it by nature makes it beyond my ability to explain them, I guess, which is kind of sucky. The Duke of Antioch has a name. Yeah, he's called the Duke. I can't remember his actual name, but yes, he definitely has a name. It's in the lore somewhere. But I think people mean like playable. Yes, Duke Constantine. Thank you. Fuck. Evil Bright coming in clutch with the details. Turn to heretic fan fiction. Yes, I wrote that for Nightbrand, which are two guys who just do their own sculpts and stuff. Zago the Goliard. Yeah, I wrote that based off kind of their notes, and it was just like a collab between us. Is God even really the same God as in Trench Crusade? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I've got very complex feelings around what God is in Trench Crusade. Like, I know a lot of people want him to be anything at all, but I actually want him to be pretty firm Abrahamic God. I want that to be like real. I want that to be the point of the game. Is that it is real. So how that impacts the rest of the world, that's up to the devs to figure out. It's their fucking job. They're the devs, not me. I just know what I want it to be. I want him to be a prisoner of hell instead of a king. Interesting. Interesting, yeah, the Wayne Barlow thing. I want to say that they're very aware of Wayne Barlow, and that it might be onto something there. Woot, I made a stream. You did. I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm just gonna call you King because I don't want to try the first bit. So hoping something like that will happen. Jubilated Scorpion. I wonder if 7 thrones of the Council of the Seven-Headed Serpent is just Satan's heads in throne form, while still connecting to a larger body underneath the city of this. That's fucking sick. Right there. That's actually dope. That's a fun one, man. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say I want that. Yo, Dark Loser, how are you? Yeah, Engelier the Paladin is definitely named. But I think when people say like named characters, they mean like a named character with rules and a mini that we can play, I think is what people really want. So if I were to come up with rules, if I were to get somebody to sculpt the Rough and Readies and come up with rules and stuff like that, I think, you know, but like it be official, I think is what they want. So if the devs were to come up with their official characters and put them out, so that'd be pretty sick. Murgle, okay, that's easy to pronounce because it's, you know, pretty in my wheelhouse. Oh shit, okay, yeah, the Murloc noise. Alright, I got you. I ain't making that noise though. Oh, I can just do it straight from there? Alright, sick. Do. Am I cracked? I literally can't see ease of access. Do. Hey, thanks for making those lore videos. It's been great just deep diving into the lore we have while I've been driving for work. So cheers. Okay, awesome. Thank you. No big reveal. there was supposed to be like a live stream from Adepticon, but like that couldn't happen. So Jack, we talked about it in a Discord, but what do you think about American sex in Crusade, like Mormons or Amish? I think you can just have those, but they develop in Europe, right? Because those folks never make it to the Americas, is my understanding, in Trench Crusade. But there's no reason why you can't have them develop those belief systems in Europe, right? Like, am I just crazy for thinking that there's no reason why anybody can't just do what they want to do? Just like not make it to America is no reason why you can't just still do the thing in Europe. Sorry, I'm still trying to fix this. I just can't find ease of access, man. I have no idea. I just don't see it. Scanner, what's your opinion on lore viability for a group, not a playable faction, inherently in lore, who have learned how to obliterate their own souls? Damn, that's fucked up. That's pretty dark. I'm gonna say there's no reason. Oh, there we go. I found it. You just. Okay, let's see if that works. I don't know if it will have worked because it's not being processed via the PC. It's being processed via a audio device. So let me know if that works, but I don't think it will have. Yeah, no, that's pretty wild. Obliterate their own souls. No reason not to. You'd have to come up with a reason as to why somebody would want to do that. Maybe they've sinned, and rather than face judgment, right, they're a sect of people who are convinced that there's no way God would allow them entry into heaven based off his commandments or testaments or whatever. And they're like, YOLO, only way to get out of this one is to fucking literally cease to exist in the truest sense. So yeah, that's interesting. I like it. Pretty spooky. It'd be like the ultimate, like, fuck you, I ain't playing. Yeah, exactly, Chemical. Like, it's exactly the same reason why just there's some very obvious real life. I don't mean amalgams as in like, ugh, I mean amalgams as in inspirations of real life guns like the Thompson and things like that in there, is because we can just kind of assume that certain stuff still developed one way or the other, even though it never would, right? Butterfly effect and whatnot. It can still happen. So why not? Alrighty, I keep forgetting this is my screen for weird shit that I want to put up. But we're not talking about anything weird. We're just talking about Trench Crusade, because why? What else would we talk about? The picture of the Avignon Grail leader screams Southern Baptist to me. The colliery stuff and the hat, right? That's the vibe. Let me know if that's the reason why you're on that page, because like that's the reason why I'm on that page. So Trench Crusade Scientology would go wild. Yeah, can you imagine that one? Like Scientology and Trench Crusade would be incredibly interesting. I mean, you'd have to think the church would really not entertain that kind of stuff and probably be pretty violent about it. So that would be kind of freaky. Out of the council members, who's the most tech savvy out of the whole the whole court of the seven-headed serpent? Who's the most tech savvy? I want to say Mammon. I would guess progress is inherently valuable. Like, inherently has a gold weight to it. So he'd be, like, up to date on stuff. I feel. So I feel like it'd be Mammon would be the guy. Who'd be the most tech savvy and he'd understand like the true value of an object, of an item. Somebody might like look at a gun and understand that a gun has value as a resource in a war from a demonic point of view, but I think he'd really understand like the true value of it and its potential in the long term. So yeah, basically, Mammon would be like the crypto guy. Wasn't there a demon who invented the semi-automatic rifle? I mean, there's Marbas and people like him who are very, very tech savvy. Actually, maybe it would just be Marbas, right? He did the whole the submarines. So yeah, maybe someone like that. But I feel out of the 7 people on the court, you're probably looking at a Mammon win for that one. Does anybody know what time it is in Milwaukee? Strange question to drop in. Let's check the old Google. What time is it in Milwaukee? Okay, I think Tomas's talk is over in an hour and 40 minutes. My understanding is it was going to end at 5 p.m. Milwaukee time. Let me check my messages. Yeah, 5 p.m. today. So we'll see how that goes. Oh yeah, I was going to say as well, if anybody watches Tabletop Titans, they've got a dope battle report. They got a dope Trench Crusade battle report. I don't know why it's copying in the entire message. I don't want the entire message. It's a good one, especially if people ask you how to play. It's a really good one because they have somebody there explaining like the rules and things like that whilst they're actually playing. So that would be pretty good. I'm interested in making a Trench Pilgrim warband from Abyssinia who are followers of Rastafari and based on Rastafarian religion. Is there any reason why you can't do that? I don't think so. I wish I could get over there. I would be at Adepticon if I were capable of travel like a normal human being instead of chronically ill fucking dork. I would definitely have been at Adepticon this year. For sure, but just can't happen. So, do we know what happened with America, the New World, and all that? No, we've no idea. There was probably some like nascent exploration of the continent, but after that, the heretics took the Atlantic. And who knows what happened beyond that point. Interestingly enough, we also don't know if there's a northern Hellgate. There's no reason why there can't be other Hellgates in other places in the world. So maybe they've got a Hellgate and they're just boned that way. Yeah, Mammon ain't one for nukes. He doesn't even like fire as a weapon because it costs money, basically, through destruction. He's a gas guy. He likes gas. So, were I to bet, Mammon would be into, like, biochemistry and things of that nature. Anthrax. Nothing that strayed too close to giving Beelzebub strength over something, but I think he'd be into things that just straight up kill you. Like sarin gas. Things of that nature. Would probably be Mammon's way to go. Yeah, I can't be the only person who wondered about other Hellgates, right? Yeah, exactly. So there's probably other Hellgates in other places. And they probably have patron demons or whatever way we want to describe them. And go from there. Do. Well, no, all diseases stem from Beelzebub, per the lore, typhus and everything else. It's all him, like, fucking around. It would still give him knowledge and influence and all the rest of it. You don't want to hand off a win to your enemy. Yeah, he's like, Mammon has like secret vaults and stuff all over the earth, just filled with junk. Like, not even junk, but just like, obviously they're valuable junk, but like just filled with stuff. Like, what's he going to do with it? Absolutely fucking nothing, but he just needs to have it. It is something that he must do. It's kind of groovy. I like that aspect of. No, if you look in, hang on, where's the lore primer? Where's the list of epidemics of typhus, malaria, typhoid, smallpox, yellow fever, pneumonia, trench fever, Marquesian disease, and countless others. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, no, actually it just says they all pale in comparison to. They changed the line. Yeah, okay, interesting. Well, then it describes it as his deadliest curse. So, I mean, if it's his deadliest curse, the other ones just aren't so bad, right? I don't know. I'll bother Tomas about it. The joys of having access to devs is I can bother them when I get confused by the lore. Bow down. I am now the lore guy. Hey, get lost, man. This is my racket. Get out of here. We know the heretic naval raiders have failed to take Turtle Island every time they've tried. That's because of the turtles. You're not going to beat Raphael, bro. It's just not going to fucking happen. Deal with it. Hellgate on the moon would be dope. You could do a Wolfenstein. That'd be pretty sick. Do you think the first heresy quote from Mike Franchina's Art Station is still canon? Do you mean like What do you mean the first heresy quote? That there was a first heresy, or that the Crusaders did it, or what? Since Hell in the Trench Crusade is mostly a dark and volcanic like Hellscape, are there still colder regions in Hell? Well, isn't that... Wasn't there something about like the third circle of Hell being cold as shit? Or am I crazy? Am I imagining all this stuff? Have I just made up so much stuff that I'm confusing myself now? That's likely. I'm also extremely tired from all the work. So, Turtle Island is an indigenous name from North America. It's also where Raphael lives and Michelangelo. So, bet you didn't know that. I mean, yeah, Hell by definition is probably outside of physical sense. I would also argue for every exothermic reaction there's an endothermic one. Like, it's got to draw the heat from somewhere. So somewhere has to be there has to be some degree of balance. Your Heavenly Father cares not for you. Oh yeah, that quote. I'm going to say yes, because they've never given us a reason to think it's not. I also had one of my own characters talk a similar mountain of shit to Jesus in one of my stories, so why not? Me and Mike are cool like that. Even if there are circles in Hell is hotly debated. Like hotly debated in Trench Crusade, or hotly debated in reality? Which do you mean? You're applying logic to Hell. I mean, to a degree I am, but there's no reason for everything about Hell to be outside of logic. I mean, in good Hell, there would be every reason to have everything be outside of logic. But I just there's no point in having rules if they're not being broken in select parts of Hell, I guess. Oh, you mean in TC? Well, hang on. In the timeline in 1101, the year of 3 battles, heretics reinforced by the armies of the third circle of Hell conquer most of the Levant. So there's at least one circle, and it's the third one. So we could assume that there's at least 2. is what I'm getting at. No, that's funny. I don't know if anybody's going to give a shit. That was funny. I just got into Trench Crusade and found your channel looking at lore, and gotta say, amazing content, making understanding the universe a little easier with all the crazy amounts of information there is. Thank you, River. I appreciate that. I think there's more and more creators kind of coming into the space and doing fun stuff and interesting stuff, especially now. I feel like we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, I think, for what the internet is going to create around Trench Crusade. But I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you. Sometimes I pray the ad in the future is some kind of Mongolian raiders as a faction. I would not say no to Mongolian raiders. I would not say no at all. Well, yeah, Chemical, it's like that's the fun of anything got to do with Hell, right? Is it's going to work very much by its own laws, and the laws of Hell might change depending on who's kind of what greater demon are you standing near. Like, I really like the idea that Hell almost is ruled by belief, kind of orc style. So whatever you think is what's going to be occurring in or around you. And if your strength of will is just more powerful than everybody else's, you reshape hell on them. Like that's hell to me. Is not being powerful enough to even suffer the way you expect to suffer. What's the book? Shit, I can't remember. Give me a second. I need to find my Kindle. I'll be back in a moment. Alrighty. I can never remember the name of this book, even though I really like the book, so I'm just going to look it up. Or I'm not, because I can't remember how to use my Kindle. Why am I so technologically stupid? I swear, I used to be good with tech. I used to know what I was doing. There we go. No, none of those. Scar Knight is the name of the book. By a guy called Alan Campbell. And in his hell, in this world that he creates, hell in it is imagine like a giant Rubik's Cube. Like with billions of cells constantly like rotating around each other depending on your penitence level. It was really interesting. Is what I'm saying. So it was one of the more interesting takes on a hell, not like a Christian hell, because it's not set in anything even close to our belief systems. But yeah, very interesting take on stuff. I think it's hard to give hell too much of a defined form, so to speak, since it is something deeply linked to subjective view. That I agree with 100%. I think hell for people will be very different, depending on what you think and what you believe and all the rest of it. Everyone talk about 40k. You can talk about 40k if you want. Like I don't want to. I don't want streams to be just a place where we talk about Trench Crusade. I want you all to be able to talk about whatever it is that you're interested in. Like if you saw a good movie or something, mention it in the chat. Like have no fear. We ain't strict, basically. And do you plan to make a video on the news covered at the Adepticon seminar happening right now? I do. I do plan on making a video about it. So I don't know when I'll make the video. Potentially tomorrow, or if I have the energy tonight. I really don't know. It'll depend on a lot of stuff. Maybe if they do something with Mongolia, it could connect with the ancient beliefs of Mother Nature and the sky. Maybe like some kind of prosthetics that can morph stone or something similar. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know a huge amount about Mongolia or faith or anything like that there, but I'm going to look into it because that sounds dope as shit. Alrighty. I've no idea if any of y'all are into BattleTech, but just out of interest, did anybody see the BattleTech Gothic thing? I nearly said BattleFleet Gothic because that's their intent, but BattleTech Gothic. For sure is the way to go. Basically, it's a kind of an alternate world. It's a BattleTech, but not. And they're going to do these like broader, they're calling it a continuum series where they take the central core of BattleTech and do something interesting and different with it. And this is kind of a more Gothic version of BattleTech, which is normally like your pretty standard robotics. So I'm curious to see what they're doing. I don't know why I wanted to bring that up, but yeah, I'm seeing a lot of mixed reviews too, because normally people don't like change for the most part. And people will always sit there and think like, why are you doing this when you could do something that appeals very specifically to me? Which I think is a valid argument. Not like 100% of the time, but it does make sense on a personal level to wonder why you're not the one being appealed to. On the other hand, one of the things that has really come to light for me around Trench Crusade is people struggle sometimes to just have fun these days. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm not sure when it happened, but everything is just incredibly serious all the time. And I see it in my day job a lot because I work games industry adjacent. I see a lot of people complaining about stuff all the time. This game, that game is bad for reasons that I think are bad, and anybody who disagrees with me is wrong. And I just kind of miss a more relaxed attitude, I feel, to entertainment. It's one of the reasons why I like Trench Crusade. People say, like, detractors will say Trench Crusade is grim derp. I will say I like Trench Crusade because it's grim derp. That's what appeals to me. It's the over the top, the silliness of everything is fun. And people were like, yeah, but it's so silly. And you're like, yeah, I know, that's the point. It's a fucking game. So I feel like a little bit with the BattleTech Gothic thing, maybe some of the people who are getting mad about it, maybe that's an issue, is they're just taking it a little bit too seriously. It's supposed to be fun. I'm looking for Gothic. You already have tons with other games, meaning Warhammer. If you wanted to go BattleTech, is to get something else. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but if you've developed BattleTech for like 30 years, then you might want to do something a little different. So, you know what I mean? I'm curious to see how it does and how it sells. I don't know if it's been specifically designed to try and appeal to any other audience. I think to a large degree, people overestimate how easy it is to convince people to play your game. They just kind of assume if you do something that vaguely appeals to somebody, that person's going to play your game. But for the most part, people are very hard to get off the rock that they're on, that they're willingly sitting on. How many games tried to do or to generate the kind of interest that Trench Crusade generated as quickly as it generated it? Hundreds, thousands over the years. So nothing did it until Trench Crusade come along, and I think part of the reason why Trench Crusade managed to do it is because the community is just seeing the fun in it. Like, I really don't want to ever underestimate how important that kind of grassroots growth was, because the community just kind of sat there and went, this looks fucking crazy shit. I'm going to have some fun with it. Not, I'm going to take it super seriously and cry about everything. So maybe we got used to the grim dark setting of 40k. I mean, yeah. What up, SpongeBob? Do you know if the Trench Crusade team is taking concepts for factions or units? I mean, not that I know of. Like, concepts is a big word, basically. It's like, do you mean to try and get something in officially? Because that would be I would assume, close to zero chance of something akin to that happening, because they have so much stuff that they need to work on. On the other hand, I will say that stuff definitely has made it into the game. Just go to the Discord, put your stuff in the homebrews, and see what happens. But like, I don't see the point in sending anything to them directly. Just throw it into the community and see what comes of it. TC tournament software? No. Not at the moment, anyway. Just subscribed. Love your content. Thank you, Neonic Viper. Neonic? Yeah, I'm going to say Neonic and hope that's correct. Just like I say most words and hope they're correct. Yeah, pit locusts are dope, man. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you, Jewel. I'm thinking of actually putting all the... I've always ignored like TikTok, but I think it might be fun to put the shorts up on TikTok one at a time and see if I can get in with the Gen Z kids. Servitors in... It's Kill Team, right? Or have they done something servitor related in... in main 40k, because I definitely saw them. I want to say in Kill Team. They announced a box set, didn't they? Oh, it's just normal. Yeah, there we go. Gun servitors. Let's go. Nice. Thank you. That's really cool. I've been working on some things, I guess, a unmonetized channel where I'll be doing like audiobooks, I guess is the easiest way to say them. A lot of people have told me that for whatever reason they like my voice. Personally, I think it's because I'm boring and it means that they can fall asleep to me. So I'm doing a channel of like just an unmonetized channel where I'll do readings of public domain books, like something like Frankenstein and stuff like that. And if people want to like rock it out while they fall asleep, it'll be there for them. Enough people have said it, and I've just been enjoying trying to, like, I'm not a voice actor by any means. I'm not somebody who can read an audiobook professionally. If anything, I feel very awkward and shy when I'm doing it, so it's a good challenge for me. So I wanted to keep it going, and really like kind of push myself. So that's dope. Thank you, basically, is what I'm trying to say. How do you manage to get videos out so quickly when the official lore immediately drops? That's easy. They give it to me before it drops. Sadly, it's not a big mystery and I'm not magical. They just give me the lore because I'm nice. No, ultimately, it is something that pays off for everybody, I think. Because how do I describe this relationship with the devs? So I'm the bigger YouTuber, I guess, who's dedicated. Like, I've got a channel who's dedicated to Trench Crusade, and I was there since since the first Kickstarter. So before the big Kickstarter went off, I was making videos, and I've always been like kind of respectful and stuff. So they just seem to like giving me the lore because I'll do a video and it helps them because the lore gets out to the community. Like, you guys have helped me basically get access to the lore because you'll come and watch the videos. Does that make sense? So it's like a big self-perpetuating cycle at this point. As long as you guys are watching, they'll give me the lore. So don't stop watching, you fuckers. Is the next drop coming heretical in nature or fateful? I mean, I don't know. I don't think I know, is what I can say. Because what will happen is I'll get sent something. This happens quite a bit. I'll get sent something like an image or some lore, and it'll be like, this is what we're working on. I'll be like, cool. And then it'll be something very different like a couple of days later. So it's hard to say what's going to be what and when, basically. So Tomas said that the next major lore drop brings Crusaders with it. Nice. Good man, Tomas. So yeah, there we go. Faithful, I guess. Or heretical. Maybe we're going to go the whole way back. Who knows? Who knows? Oh yeah, I was looking at servitors. Yeah, these guys are sick. The only thing I don't like about Necromunda or about Kill Team right now is it's hard to get the sets here. They sell out like mega quick, and I don't want to order them in from the UK because tax is crazy. Will the STL for Joseph and his dog be on my mini factory after Red Brigade Kickstarter? I don't know. I will check with the Westphalia guys. I assume it will be up there, but I don't want to guarantee that it will be. Because I don't know. Basically, I have to talk to Westphalia and find out for you. So, oh yeah, here's a question. Here's a bit of market research. Somebody said on a video this week that they watched the Joseph and Meshach video and said they were looking forward to more adventures from them. And it had never occurred to me to write another story about Joseph and the dog. Is that something people, do you think, like, if I did it, is that something that you want? It's just, for me, it was a one-shot. But if people want to know more about them and more about the Red Brigade in general, I can definitely do stuff. Like, that's not a problem. Just let me know. So, NJ Lee, you're my main lore guy. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I enjoy your bro. Thank you, Robin. There you go. Evil Bread with the no. Evil Bread just killed it for everybody, basically. It's not going to happen. Is water wet or does water make things wet? Right? That's the yeah, that might be super interesting. I don't know what I would do. I can't solo bolo them again unless we like pick up more of their adventures, maybe as they're trying to get back to New Antioch. Maybe they heal up at the camp a bit and then they're on their way again and they run into something else that's scary. Maybe I put them in with a whole new squad. Maybe it's after the formation of the next Red Brigade. Maybe it seems like a good idea that they would never die, but maybe they're just cursed to endlessly watch other people die. Nah, Eva Bread killed it. Sorry. It's over. Is there any particular aspect of Trench Crusade you'd like to see expanded on? Any aspect of the lore. Obviously, there's nothing I would be against being expanded upon, but I actually don't know. Let me check his channel. La 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 la. I did a podcast with Feel No Pain. I don't think it's live yet. I think it might go live tomorrow. And I actually answered that question on the podcast, but I'm not going to be a dick and not answer it now, basically. But I'm just saying, like, Feel No Pain, he's a good guy. I'll link the channel for anybody who wants to go and watch the podcast tomorrow. Maybe a couple of people give him a sub and tip him into the 2K territory if you're feeling cool. But don't like sub people and not watch their stuff. Like, his stuff is good. So sub and watch his stuff. But yeah, I talked to him and he asked me the same question, and I would love to see Argos expanded on. I would love to see what happened to Argos, other than just that, like, it was taken by God, which could mean fucking anything. I would love to see it. Tidius, I really enjoy the way you describe the combat. Playing a fight out like a chess match is one of my favorite things. That's one of the things that I foolishly think I'm actually good at as a writer, because I used to be a martial artist is a very strong word. I used to box, and I did some MMA, and I did some jiu-jitsu, and I did a little bit of HEMA for some extra work that I did. And I had a friend of mine who was actually a really good HEMA instructor, and he worked with Ridley Scott, and he taught me some stuff. So, like, I'm not very knowledgeable about it by any means, but I do like to think that way. I do like to think, if you're fighting something and you're both existing in 3D space together, it's a puzzle to solve, right? It's like you said, it's like a chess match. And I like thinking about the potential solutions to those puzzles. And I like I used to box, and it's scary. Even in a sport environment, like, violence is scary. Even if you're good at it, and even if you want to be in there, it's still scary. So I try to write fights as if they're scary, ultimately, because I think they are. Any love for tabletop sim here? It'd be pretty cool to see a well-polished TC mod. I'd pay for that. There's actually quite a lump of really good stuff for Trench Crusade on tabletop sim. The guys over in the tabletop server have been very diligently working on all manner of stuff, and it's starting to get really polished now. So let me see if I can grab an invite link to that server. I'm assuming I can. Dark, you probably can. Okay, oh, here we go. All right, this is the Tabletop Simulator Discord. They've got, like, they've worked really, really, really hard on it. So they've got some great setup, and I'm doing a video about how to play on Tabletop Simulator and the best kind of things to use and all the rest of it. So yeah, no, they've worked really hard, and I love those guys over there. Alrighty, where am I? What am I reading? Very big leap, but maybe you could put them in said infested zone where Joseph the dog and some surviving heretic soldier make a temporary truce in order to survive and escape the zone. I mean, that'd be some interesting character development, right? Where he goes from just, like, slaughtering the guy at the end of the last story to working with a guy, and that could be the tension, like, who's gonna cut who to get out of there. But I don't know, it doesn't feel like Joseph. He feels like the kind of guy who just murders you if you're a heretic. I don't think he cares. I think he would die to take you out, you know, that way. I think that's his character, and I definitely think Mashak would chew your fucking ear off. So I did have a pet werewolf. His name was Clive. He's still going to be my guy. Do you want to hear something stupid? I've actually commissioned somebody to do a little claymation, like a little stop motion animation of Clive. I thought that would be funny. So as soon as that's done, I'll have it. Like, it's very short. Like, it's just going to be an alternative intro. Like, I don't want like every intro to be like super serious on the channel, because we're not always going to be talking about serious stuff. I thought just having a little like Wallace and Gromit Clive running around would be hilarious. So I got that done. Or rather, I'm getting it done. The guy's working on it now. So that's going to be pretty funny. Yeah. Oh, God. And I think Clive is going to star on... Somebody asked me to do like an Eat Shit t-shirt. So I think Clive will be on the t-shirt too. But I haven't had time to talk to... Like, I don't want to do a t-shirt with a werewolf on it without talking to Mike. Right? Because it's his fucking werewolf. And I don't like talking to Mike very often because he's incredibly busy. So I'm kind of letting everything stack up and then I'll hit him with it. So that is definitely a way to go. Alrighty, that's 2 hours of that's 2 hours of live streaming. I'm gonna call it because I want to pay attention to Milwaukee. I want to pay attention to Adepticon and see what is going on over there when they start dropping news. If they drop any news, I got to be ready to like jump onto a video potentially and start talking about stuff. So we will see what happens. So I'm going to let you all go. It was another like okay, Brad, what's up? The streams have been really fun and we've been holding, I think, really good viewers. Like, I had no idea 60 people were ever going to watch me talk about fucking anything. No, there's no way to watch it remotely, unfortunately. Adepticon don't seem all that interested in streaming anything from their event, and I don't know why. You'd think it would be a major thing. Thank you so much for inspiring me to write my Hand of Fate. That's cool, man. Like, I think everybody who wants to write should definitely write. It's so much fun and it's very liberating, and just make sure it's relaxing. I was talking to somebody during the week and they were allowing their desire to write to be a great source of stress for them. It shouldn't be that. Like, it should just be chill. You know, you should gain a lot of enjoyment from doing it. And thanks for the stream. Always enjoyed watching it. Cheers, SpongeBob. Thank you so much for checking in as always. I really appreciate it. Yes, so I will let you go. I'll see you all in the Discord, which I think most of you are in. If you're not, let me just link it once more. I'm trying to be better about linking everything. I'm really bad for basically anything organized or formal isn't my strong suit, but that's the scannerbarkly Discord, so jump in and join us if you want to. Feel free to do so, and thank you all for joining in. Now, spoiler alert, over the coming weeks I'm gonna get Tomas to join us on a stream. I thought that would be fun, so that one will be a bit more organized and less kind of freewheely. I'll have some mods in. You guys can leave your, put your comments in the chat, and we'll kind of answer questions and stuff like that, because I think basically Tomas noticed that we talk a lot about lore and the world and stuff in this stream, and he, I think he'd have fun joining in, because he's actually the one who suggested it, so that was pretty dope. So I'll give you a lot of notice as to when that's going to be, and you all can prepare your questions and all that kind of stuff, and we'll just shoot the shit for an hour or so, or whatever the fuck, and talk about lore and things like that. So that'll be good fun. And I want to try and get like some other kind of people in and stuff like that too. So yeah, there you go. Right, I will let you go, and I will talk to you all soon. Keep an eye on the channel next week, because I think there'll be something interesting coming again. No spoilers.